Hi and welcome to another chess video with me. I'm Fidemaster Ingvar Jóhannesson from Iceland. And well, it's up to round 10 out of 13. Still 3 rounds to go after this one. But yeah, the 10th round was really exciting. A lot of decisive games, a lot of exciting games. And it's still being played as I am recording this. And I want to look at this game first. It's between two very young and talented players, Jan-Krzysztof Duda from Poland and Duda and Rapport from Hungary. So far they're not having the best of tournaments. As we know, Carlsen, Anand and Nepomniachtchi are leading with 6 out of 9. And these guys are not in contention. But nonetheless, very promising young players. Jan-Krzysztof Duda has been moving up the ranks, recently taking a big leap, and he looks set to join the elite well, in due time, pretty soon I think. But we're gonna have a look at this game. Duda had the white pieces. He opened with d4, and we have bishop g5, the Trompovsky. Not a very common opening at this level. Magnus did play the Trompovsky in his World Championship match against Carlsen in the first game, which might have been a bit of a pun because Donald Trump had just been elected, so you know, Trompovsky, yes, we're gonna build a wall. But yeah, not a common opening at this level. Rapport goes d5 here, and Duda takes on f6. So we really have an imbalance here already on move 3. So black has this double pawn, but on the other hand he does have the bishop pair. So it's structure versus better material balance in a way, or material combination. So white goes e3, and very often black got rid of the dark squared bishop, and very often he builds a wall on dark squares to facilitate his light squared bishop, and because the dark squared bishop is gone, so you don't mind pawns on dark squares, restricting the opponent's bishop. So knight e2, c6, they get the pieces out, and b5 now by black, and Rapport, always a very creative player. He now expands on the queen side. Duda immediately challenges that pawn on b5. After b4 plays a5, so that black can't fortify the pawn with pawn to a5. Bishop to d6, c4. And contrary to what most people would do against the bishop pair, white seems to be opening up the position a little bit. Although he does have good control of the black square still, a lot of pawns on dark squares. So trying to play against the dark squared bishop at the moment. Castles, bishop to e2, f5, white castled. You know, sometimes g3 is played just to prevent any shenanigans with pawn to f4, getting rid of the double pawns, but Rapport wasn't interested in that. He got his pieces out, knight d7, queen a4, c5, and now c4. So here, seems to be a lot of tension. We have, pawn duos in the center by both players. And if things open up, maybe black can look forward to the bishop pair. But at the moment, maybe not so much. Knight b3, attacking c5, the knight comes into e4, a nice outpost, and also protecting the pawn on c5. But white now takes on c5, and black has to give up the bishop pair, and he gives up the dark squared bishop. And to be honest, that bishop probably doesn't have much of a future, so it's an understandable decision. I mean, if you want to keep the bishop, let's say you take with a knight instead of taking with the bishop. I mean, let's say I take on d5 and then play rook d1, something like this, and maybe try to exchange the light squared bishops. Then this bishop doesn't really have any target because white is really well sat here on the dark squares. So Rapport decided to take up c5, give up the bishop pair. Duda tried to keep the pawn, c6, now knight to c3. and he takes on e2. So we have a mass exchange here, and we're left with a light squared bishop for black, and a very strong knight for white. I say strong because it's well anchored by a pawn on e3, and it can't be kicked away. So this position probably close to equal, but I think personally I would prefer white here after queen g5, threatening mate in one, but f3. And now, yeah, these pawns are playing against this bishop, and we still have a strong knight. So it seems like white has, you know, a bit of a bind on the dark squares. Rook f to c8 going to the c file, but rook f to c1 challenging the c file. g6 takes, and rook b1. h5 by Rapport, and Duda goes in, rook b8 check, king h7, rook to e8. We have a bit of a back and forth here, queen f6, rook goes back to b8, queen a6. And now this is where, yeah, the things start to heat up here. White played knight to b3, taking the rook, and Rapport took on b3. Here, white kind of has a choice. The best move probably is queen to b2. This attacks the bishop and also threatens mate on h8. So black will lose the bishop, and probably after rook c8 we should be about equal. After takes. Equal material, probably hard to win for either side. But Duda went with queen to d8, and this has a very nasty threat, of course. Queen to h8, checkmate, Czechoslovakia. That's all she wrote, nothing more. But it's black to move, and well, he can give a check, but isn't enough. Rook c1 check, king comes to f2, queen f1, king g3, and it doesn't look too great, does it, for black? If you give this check, I go to h3. And how do you stop this? You can run with your king, but that's all you're going to do, because after f4 you get mated. In fact, there is only one move here for black, not to lose. And well, Rapport found it, and he played pawn to f4. This very importantly opens up a diagonal for this bishop. So if we were to take with a pawn, we will give a check, and then bishop e6. Only move would be g4, and then things start to open up, and the king will not survive this. So after f4 check, Duda took with the king, but now the rook enters, rook to c4 check. The king went to g3, e4 looks tempting, but then black can actually play g5. And yeah, it's not pretty. If you take with the queen, I can give you a check, and you have to protect the queen, but then there's rook c5, winning the queen. And yeah, king takes, we just start checking, and the king is not going to survive that. So king g3, probably the best try. And after queen e1, king h3. Again, it looks like this threat is too much, but perhaps this is the brilliancy that Duda missed in his calculations. Maybe thinking that at worst he would have a draw, but unfortunately he is lost after black's fantastic move. Can you find it? Black to move. And yeah, combining not losing and winning. He played a fantastic rook to c8, cutting off the queen and the rook, so there's no more queen h8. And whichever piece takes on e6, on c8, doesn't matter, bishop e6 is coming. So okay, white is already down a piece, so rook takes c8 is forced to try to do something, but bishop e6 check. King has no squares, so g4 has to be played. Takes, queen takes e3 check. And after king h4, queen f2, black resigned. Nothing to be done for Duda here. If king g5, we can take on e6, and the sad truth is that you can't even retake the piece because of f6, checkmate. If you go back, he played king h4, but king g2 doesn't help, queen to e2, and I would take on g4 next. You go here, of course you get mated in 1, and any move that allows queen takes g4 allows bishop takes c8 on the next move, which ends the game. So after queen f2 check, Duda resigned. So a nice win in a back and forth exciting game by Rapport, who improves his standing in this tournament. I will see you in the next video. I think I will definitely have more videos from this round, and I'll see you then.